In a world full of challenges, there are incredible people making a difference, one cause at a time. KFGO for a Cause, brought to you by Neil Van Dam and the Van Dam Financial Group. KFGO for a Cause shines a spotlight on organizations and individuals dedicated to positive change.
This is KFGO for a Cause, brought to you by Neil Van Dam and the Van Dam Financial Group, who's here with me every Sunday morning. Hi, Neil. Welcome back.
Good morning.
And I'm Amy Iler, usually here Monday through Friday from 11 to 2 with JJ Gordon, but I hang out Sunday mornings. And on this Sunday morning, we get to chat with Hillery Mork from the Children's Miracle Network in our town, or technically the lead I got your title, Hillery. I've never read your full title, I don't think. We're just like, it's Hillery. The lead development officer for the Children's Miracle Network program director. Both of those are titles?
Yes, I kind of have
program
two titles.
Director and lead development officer.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the radio often, you know we do a radioathon every January, and Hillery spends a lot of time with us. We actually just tried a Roger Maris All-Star Week drive this year, too, that we did on it, which was a ton of fun. So she's our partner when it comes to the Children's Miracle Network here in Fargo and for Sanford Children's Hospital. And you can hear her a lot here on KFGO regularly. So let's talk about a few of the things that always come up, I feel like, when we chat with you on the air is like, I've been to the hospital. They're big. They have a lot of money. What's the Children's Miracle Network all about?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. So the Children's Miracle Network is actually a nonprofit based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, that helps 170 member hospitals to raise money in their local community. So Sanford Children in Fargo is the only member hospital of Children's Miracle Network. We've been a member for 41 years, so almost the start of the national organization. We joined a year later. And really what the Children's Miracle Network does is to help those member hospitals to raise money in their local communities. So they set up partnerships with national partners such as Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, Dairy Queen, Remax, Love's, Great Clips, all these different types of corporate partners that adopt us as really their charity of choice. And then it's my job locally to work those relationships of those corporate partners that fall into our territory. So, and then another piece of that is, of course, our programs, which that's where Cares for Kids falls into. So the Radioathon is a really, really big part of the Children's Miracle Network. And then we have another program called Extra Life. There's some university with the dance marathons that they can do peer-to-peer fundraising. So Children's Miracle Network really just sets up the platform for us, and then it's our job on a local level to work that in our given territory.
And then with the success of the programs and the things and the innovations that you're able to accomplish because of the Children's Miracle Network.
Yeah.
Like, I got to learn a lot about you this year. Mm-hmm. I had a really big treat, and I got to go with Hillery to their national conference. And it was so exciting to learn the innovations that are coming because of donors and because of partners through the Children's Miracle Network. I got to see the first ever autism-friendly ambulance, which was amazing. All of these medical innovations that are happening because of the Children's Miracle Network is so cool.
Yeah, so children's hospitals, it's 5 times more expensive to care for a child than it is an adult. So it is really, funding is very, very important so that we have really the extra special programs and services for kids and families. We're not just taking care of that child, we're taking care of their siblings and their families when they come to the Children's Hospital. So programs or services like child life specialists, hospital teachers, music therapists, those are not funded or reimbursed by insurance. So we have to have a way that we can provide those services and opportunities, and that's really why philanthropy is so important for children's hospitals. It's also about what is the greatest need that's happening, and that's the beauty of Children's Miracle Network as well, is that 100% of that dollar that is raised by, whether it's a partner, if it's a donor calling into the Radioathon, it's going back to support those kids. It's not going to pay my salary. It's not going to administrative costs. It's going to support those programs and those services. And we keep it unrestricted to the Children's Hospital just so that we can have the greatest need. Because we maybe will think right now we're in budget season, and we maybe think we know what we need now, but come November next year, it might be a whole different story just because that's how fast our needs change.
And it's like it's dolls for nurses to work on to learn their craft. It's a vest for a child with cystic fibrosis. It's it's these bravery beads.
I think the most important thing that you guys do, if I was to put it together, is child life specialists.
Yeah.
I had no idea what a child life specialist does until I met a friend who did that. And I asked her husband, I said, what does she do for a living? And he's like, oh, she blows bubbles for kids that are about to have get an IV or something. And then the more I've dealt with, especially children with cancer and that program.
Yeah, like there's there's some overlap with you and your involvement with Camp Casey and what Hillary does. Like there's some definite overlap.
Yeah, that's why
there.
I eat my weight in ice cream once a year when Dairy Queen does the Blizzard Day.
Isn't that the best day?
It is like, oh shoot, I have to.
I know.
Okay, it's for a good cause.
Yes.
But like you are interacting on a yearly basis at Camp Casey with the people that we're talking about, these child life specialists that do it for work, but then also like spend their time to go out to Camp Casey to create this experience for kids with cancer.
Yeah, I was literally just texting before this with a friend who I was trying to get to do something funny for me on a video, and she sent me a screenshot of a couple of the coworkers that I all know talking about they have a person coming in that's deathly afraid of needles, and how are they going to do that? And they're talking about which wigs they're going to wear and how they're going to dress up and things like that, which is just, obviously they didn't share the name of the child, but it's such a wonderful, hospitals are not made to be that fun experience, and profitability of the hospital or just keeping it afloat. They can't invest the resources on things like that. Because they need to keep costs down so that regular people can have the surgeries and things they need. But that's why we need programs like yours.
Absolutely. And I think you really hit on the nail there, Neil, is that, we really need to create that trusting environment too. And so we have some kids, maybe that just come in one day for a quick surgery and they're out the next day and that's all they ever need for a children's hospital. But then we have some kids that if they're diagnosed with cancer, it's not a 1 month thing. They're in for, whether it's in the Children's Hospital or if it's in the Roger Maris Center, in the Roger Maris Clinic with our PEDS department. So they have to come in, on a yearly basis. Sometimes it's for the full year. Sometimes it's, then they kind of get out in their treatment. But it's really important that we set up that trusting relationship with those kids. And that's really what child life specialists do. I used to be a child life specialist, so it is near and dear to my heart. But I always remember about this little girl who was diagnosed with cancer. And we're putting in her report, but it had to be on her time, on her clock, right? So, and the staff was so great about following that with the help of myself and my other teammates of child life specialists, of letting her and her time where she knew she had to, clean the area with the cleaner to make it very sterile, but we had to do it on her time. And when I was training to be a child life specialist, I did watch this video, it was, My Clock, and it was talking about don't rush a child through their processing of these procedures. And she was just a prime example of that. So we, made it almost looked like a flower that we'd put up to protect her skin before we put on the clear bandage to protect her port. But it's like they made that so special for her and worked on her time instead of like, okay, we're going to do this, 1, 2, 3, go. But they let her be in control. And that's really a lot with child life specialists that help the team understand that, is that she will cope through this, but it has to be kind of, we have to do it in a process where she will understand, where the child will understand this, and that they will work through their process. And it's such a much better experience because it wasn't going to be her one and only time coming in for that. So you kind of see that magic. Another experience I had was a little boy who came in, he had an abscess on his neck, and he was so scared to go downstairs to get it drained, and I never understood what was going on here because we take the elevator, he would have some sleeping medicine for that. So he wasn't feeling, or, he didn't feel the pain that would cause because we had some sedation, but he was so afraid of this procedure. But we worked through a medical doll, and we let him tell us through play, and he was scared of elevators. But he couldn't, but through the power of play, and, the child life specialist just took a little time with him to understand, like, what is he not understanding, or what is he so fearful of this? So what an easy fix. But through play, he felt comfortable telling us, I don't like going on the elevator. So we use the stairs, and guess what? Whole different experience for him. So just the power of play when they're going through such terrible experiences, if you will, just being sick or injured. But through that power of play, they can make it so much better.
This is KFGO for a Cause, brought to you by Neil Van Dam and the Van Dam Financial Group. Hillery Mork is with us from the Children's Miracle Network, and we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to KFGO for a Cause. Amy Iler, Neil Van Dam with the Van Dam Financial Group, and Hillery Mork is with us with the Children's Miracle Network at Sanford Children's.
So on our break here, I was just kind of stuck on the child life specialist role just because that's so near and dear to my heart. But one thing that of the children that I've dealt with that have gone through a lot of medical issues, it's not just them. It's also their siblings. It's also their parents. It's helping their family understand what that child's going through. Or even when a parent's going through something, helping the children of that parent understand things, which is just part of what the hospital can't provide. They don't have the funds to provide. I was aware that the Children's Miracle Network was very helpful in that, but I didn't realize that you guys fully funded it. Mm-hmm. And then the one last thing that I want to chat about is school reintroductions or school introductions when you have that classmate that's diagnosed with something and is about to lose their hair, is about to be sick, and their classmates have never dealt with that before. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to... do you still be friends with that person? Can you still play ball with them? Am I going to catch cancer by talking to them? Can you talk a little bit more about that program?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Neil. So our school reentry program is where we have a child life specialist and then a nurse or someone from the hospital that can help explain the medical side of a diagnosis. So it could be a child diagnosed with cancer or a child who's maybe been in a very serious car accident, and there's some change in that child when they're going back to school. Maybe they have a brain injury now, so doing math is going to be a little bit harder. Maybe they will get to use a calculator, and their other classmates will not, right? And so why is that? Or like Neil said, is, really kind of eliminating those misconceptions of the diagnosis, if you will. So our great team, they have teaching dolls that they will use, such as what you mentioned earlier, Amy, is that they'll bring out a doll named Aaron. Aaron can be a boy or girl, and then Aaron has many different features based off of, like, we can take the hair off of the doll to show that because of the type of medicine that we're giving this child, that makes their hair fall out, and this is why. But what can that child put on their head if they don't have hair to keep it warm, especially in our winters? So really helping so that it really has to helps that child transition back to school. Because if they're diagnosed with cancer, they're maybe not going to be in school for the first year, or if they're going to be in school, it's going to be very limited. But also, what can those kids do to help support their classmates? So maybe we have something called monkey in a chair. So that monkey will sit in the chair and has a backpack, and you can write letters or draw pictures. So if the child is gone, there's still someone or something sitting in their chair, right? So they can send that back to the child then. And so that stuffed animal kind of replaces the child, if you will, just in school, but also gives that child something to look forward to, that their classmates are still being a way for them to be involved and to, help them, support them through their misconception. It's really up to the child, or through their diagnosis, and it's really up to the child or the family if they want just their class, or maybe it's involving all the siblings' classmates too, because that sibling maybe is getting pulled out of school if they're, far away from Fargo, and that's where their treatment is being done. So it's really just helping that child as well as the family, the moms and dad, even the school, and helping them to understand what are the needs of this child, and when they come back, how we can welcome them back to school and really support them.
I can learn something new about the Children's Miracle Network like every couple of months. I thought I knew pretty much everything that you've done. I've never heard the details about the school reentry program. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really, really amazing program.
We were talking about, the work that you do is so important, not just in creating a safe space for these kiddos and their family and creating a warmer environment, but also the innovation that comes. Like, you guys are not sitting still with the medical side of innovating things that your hospitals need through the Children's Miracle Network. And especially at Sanford, like, I talked about the ambulance that we saw that one network hospital had come up with. But you yourself in Fargo have made some huge strides when it comes to medical innovation.
Yeah, so we were approached by our neonatal intensive care team and said, hey, we have started this. It's called the Micropreemie program, where we're caring for babies born 22 weeks or earlier. I mean, this is tiny, right? These are tiny, tiny babies, but we continue to see births happening much, much earlier. And because of that, our team really did an amazing job of kind of tracking things and our survival rate for these babies. So they started this program where it's really a consistency of care for these babies born. They have to have special skin care, dietary needs, respiratory needs, all these different things. So we have a dedicated team for our micropreemies. But then the second phase of that program is to have a dedicated unit, so specific area where these families and these babies would be cared for with the team all close together. So with the power of our Children's Miracle Network partners, we asked our credit unions to step up. They've always been a great partner, but this really took them to a new level. So North Dakota Credit Unions, and they help to provide funding to have a dedicated unit just for these micropreemies. So we have a 6-bed, 4-room area specific to our micropreemies, and I want to say we've had over 60 babies that have gone through this program so far, and all from all across the state of North Dakota. Last year in the Cares for Kids, we had a family from New England, which is over by Dickinson, to we have lots of Fargo, Moorhead families, Grand Forks. I know we have a lot of Bemidji families that come through. So this is from border to northwest Minnesota that we're really caring for, and again, so we're able to keep care close to home. I know, if you're coming in from Dickinson, that's a long ways from Fargo, but it's a lot closer than if you have to go to Minneapolis, where a micropreemie program would be in place as well. So we're a handful of medical centers, of children's hospitals, just a handful that have, there's many hospitals that are setting up this micropreemie program, but just a handful have an actual dedicated units. We're very, very proud of that.
I mean, it is crazy the reach that you have, because we think of you as a Fargo hospital, but if you look at the statistics about who you're serving, because of the level of care that you have and the level of sophistication and the professionals that you have, the Sanford Children's Hospital is really far-reaching. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking about Western North Dakota, we're talking about Minnesota, we're talking about South Dakota. I mean, you have people from a long ways away coming to get this care.
Yeah, we do. And we have this little patient map that we use every year. And this is just for unique patients, meaning we only count that patient once. A lot of time patients have to come in more than once. We call that encounters. But we did a map, and it's really just for unique patients. And in 2024, Children's Miracle Network reached over 27,000 kids just in our North Dakota, Northwest Minnesota area. So that is
Wow.
a lot of kids. So when, we're on the airwaves for Cares for Kids, or we're promoting having a blizzard at Miracle Treat Day, it's like you are helping so many kids just by being part of supporting the Children's Miracle Network at Sanford Children's.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll see little balloons pop up at Walmart. That's who we're talking about right now. I don't know if everyone puts together the pieces. Like, maybe you've visited an Ace Hardware. That's also you.
Yeah.
I mean, so Costco, yes, Costco,
Great
Loves.
Clips. They just jumped on board this year. We're really excited to have our local Great Clips as part of our program, and they're doing a campaign right now. So,
what are they
with
doing?
the balloons? They're doing a point of sale.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. So if you go in for a haircut, you'll see little stickers on their mirrors, and they're going to ask you when you check out. So they have a little kickback coupon, so you can come back and get a few extra dollars off your haircut for your next one. So yeah, we're really excited to have them on board this year.
Yeah, so when you see the balloons for the Children's Miracle Network, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about Hillery. We're talking about the work at Sanford Children's. We're talking about all the innovations and the child life specialists. That's who you're giving to in our town.
Can we also give a shout out to the people that check you out at those places that just say, would you be willing to give $1 to any charity? It's so cool, because I've never said no in that instance.
Right.
But when I've checked out and I see the sign in the background, I have to admit, there's been plenty of times where I'm just like, I'm good. But when someone physically asks you, keep doing that.
Yeah. I always say thank you for asking, So
Yes.
Panda is another great partner, and every time I go through the drive-thru, they say, would you like to donate to local children's house? I'm like, yes, thank you for asking. It kind of throws it back a little bit, because I'm like, oh, wow, so
it's exciting.
And then they kind of forget how much ask me how much to donate, but I always say thank you, because that's very important. You're exactly right. I think you don't know until you ask. great. And that's what I always tell our partners is that I know it's sometimes hard to ask for a donation, but,
Yeah.
I think
I'm
exactly the same. Yeah.
So I hope you're listening to this, and the next time you see one of those balloons, you think of this and you think of the great things that are being done with the efforts $1 at a time. And literally you think like, what's my dollar going to matter? But it does. Yeah. And it adds up. Mm-hmm. It adds up. Or get in on as many blizzards as you can on Miracle Treat Day like Neil. Hillary, in the meantime, we'll hear you for the Radioathon. I know we're in the midst of Harvest Snack Pack season. And Hillary and the team over there at Sanford Children's through your foundation provided amazing little lunch bags for the people out working hard during this harvest. So thank you for that. But if they want to get a hold of you, maybe they want to talk about a gift, they want to talk about how they can be of service to the Children's Miracle Network, how should they do that?
Sure. We have a great website at the Sanford Health Foundation, and then you just click on Communities, and you find us under the Fargo tab, and my phone number is there as well as my email, but I'd be happy to visit with you.
Hillery Mork, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Great to be here this morning.
Thanks, Neil.